Hey guys, Lorena Magani here with New Filmmakers Los Angeles. Today, I'm talking to director Jean-Philippe Tremblay about his new film, Shadows of Liberty. Let's take a look at a clip from the film.
We have an update on that. Good evening. We have a lot of news to tell you about 63 near the 15.
Giant media corporations decide what is news and what is not news.
Is it to control people's ideas? Is to control their imagination?
The news we rely on is in the hands of commercial enterprises.
If it didn't appear in the New York Times, Fox News, CNN, it never happened.
Jean-Philippe, why don't you give our viewers a brief synopsis of your documentary, Shadows of Liberty?
Shadows of Liberty is a feature documentary film about the media monopoly in the United States. Our inspiration was a book by Ben Bigdickian, an amazing American journalist, and his book is entitled The New Media Monopoly. And in his book, he explains how media and information is really controlled by five conglomerates, five major corporations. And we made a film about that, telling the story through journalists, great American journalists who are trying to report stories about power, about government, but they're stopped by those very powers because they're offending those powers. They don't want the truth to come out.
Do you see that the way the news is reported in the United States changing anytime soon?
When we look at the mainstream media, knowing how important the media is, we say that there's nothing more powerful than the media. And these five conglomerate corporations have so much power today. It's unreal. I mean, they not only control broadcast systems through radio and television, but they're making deals with the biggest internet providers such as AT&T, Verizon, and Comcast. And they have other interests in other businesses. They have defense contracts in wars around the world, such as Iraq. They make jet engines. They provide nuclear energy. So they have a foot in almost every aspect of industry in the world, and they bring us the news, the mainstream news. I think that it's possible for us to change the media that we consume. And I think what needs to happen is for the population to realize what's happening, where media is coming from, and then for us to make the right choices and follow independent media funded by the people and not by corporations whose bottom line is profit. So I think it's people that are going to make a change and not the mainstream media.
You talk about the five different corporations that control the media in the United States, but you seem to focus solely on GE. Why was that?
We talk about General Electric because, first of all, it was really the first very big merger in the last 30 years when things really started to change drastically in mainstream media in the United States. And that happened when the Reagan administration was elected in 1980. And if we also show archive of Ronald Reagan in the 1950s doing a show for General Electric. It was General Electric Theater, and he comes on stage or on screen and presents, he says, "Welcome to General Electric Theater." And then what we find out is that 30 years later, in 1980, he becomes the President of the United States. And then in 1986, he allows a merger between General Electric, a defense contractor, to buy RCA. And it's really an example of these massive, mega, big mergers between corporations that have other business interests buying up the media. So what that does is that they send their business and political message that's good for their business, but might not be good for the people. And their bottom line is profit. So General Electric is a really good example of everything that's wrong with the media today in the mainstream.
Does your website, shadowsofliberty.org, offer more information on independent media?
Shadowsofliberty.org is a really good starting point to get informed about where we can find independent media. We have a few links, things like Democracy Now! Run by Amy Goodman, or Fair and Accuracy Report.